right, Marfoogle News live in 3, 2. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. There is an extremely alarm story coming out right now, and again, once you hear the details of this, you will completely understand what the hell I'm talking about. This is absolutely crazy, but you guys most likely have heard our opinion on this. We believe that we are not only on the edge and the precipice of a war, but we are also looking at powers that be that want to get some things started here in our country as well. That would actually be safe to say in Europe as well. They're going through their own, kind of civil conflicts. So we're going to talk about this real quick. Again, ICE stockpiling warheads and chemical weapons as lawmakers fear that the president is planning a strike. So once you understand this, spending went from almost $9 million under the last presidency in 2024, so the last year, to $71 million in the first 9 months. Now, this is listed under ICE, right? And I'm hoping that this is somehow attached to the DHS, but it says the number of weapons bought by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has reportedly surged 700% under President Donald, and even includes chemical agents and warheads. Again, let me repeat this part. Federal purchasing logs show ICE spent $71 million on small arms, ordnance, and ordnance accessories, including military supplies, weapons, and ammunition. Now get this. Popular information says that the most of the spending was on armor and weapons, bang, bang, but there was also a significant purchases of chemical weapons and guided missile warheads. Again, guided missile warheads. So I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why ICE needs guided missile warheads, but that should say something to you. Again, before we get deeper into it, I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go check out Energy. If there is an emergency and you are cut off from the rest of the power supply, definitely recommend one of the toughest generators out there. So tough that it is actually being shipped out to the U.S. Army under the SBIR Phase 2 contract. Again, go check it out, marfooglenews.com/energy, code Marfoogle. Any affiliate like this not only helps our small independent media, it will help you get prepared. And we have repped the same companies for now years. They are backed by, again, our 5, 6, 7 years working with them now, and they're all companies we absolutely believe in. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Reinforced in steel, modular, and of course built-in heaters, water resistant, and weather resistant for any kind of situation. All right, that's marfooglenews.com/energy, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Let's bring my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
Okay, so just to reiterate this, somehow, and I'm sure, by the way, this piece is somewhat of a hit piece against our president, but the documents that are behind it, they are pretty clear, right?
Right.
I'm wondering if this is if they're gonna pull out some excuse of why they need guided missiles in general.
Exactly. Look, even if you took the guided missiles out and say there was nothing there for guided missiles, and I'm sure you can probably put chemical weapons into that category of it's pepper spray or pepper balls, that's fine. But look, if you take that part out, just look at the total spending. Like, that's a massive amount of increase in spending. Okay. That alone should raise some eyebrows as to why do we need that much military gear for our streets of America. And I know everybody that likes to protest against ICE has got a different position on that. And I'm not taking a position on that. I'm more worried about what does it mean to our country? Are they preparing or planning for something that's bigger than just, the stated job that they're doing, which is removing illegal immigrants that, have overstayed their welcome, right? And it makes you wonder, like, that's a massive amount of spending, even if you take out. Then you throw in guided missiles and you're like, WTF, right?
Yeah, and the word warheads is thrown in there. Guided missiles and warheads. So, and there might be some miscommunication here. We'll correct this. If tomorrow they come out and say, hey, they pulled this out of context, they took this from the wrong document, and somebody stapled the wrong piece of paper into it, we will correct it. But until then, this is absolutely crazy. Now, the 71 million, you go, oh, well, they only spent 9 million last year. Well, last year and the 3 years before that, they were like, come on in, everybody. Let's get this party started. Let's melt in. But maybe the 71 million is what we should have been spending the whole time if we were actually, locking down borders like most countries in the world do, right? Maybe that there was just so little spent on it that now this number seems so huge. But at the same time, is this somehow attached to the fact that it's DHS that they need these guided missiles? If this is the case, absolutely a huge red flag. Now, there's side theories. Again, I won't go, all the way into my crazy theories, but, all of the different places that have National Guard, the locking down of the border, the statements by the president talking about domestic threats that are not in uniform, the Golden Dome, the missile defense system for the U.S. and not for the government, not for the infrastructure, but for cities. Very, very creepy, the fact that we even need that. We've never needed anything like that. Now we're talking about it. And then, of course, gold prices going up in the last month like there's no tomorrow. We're still at over $4,000 in gold. Like just last year, it was at $2,000. That is a magnificent jump. So this is something that people really need to be aware of. Please share this video out far and wide. Again, related to this, at the same time, we have the U.S., which is allegedly hit an eighth drug vessel, but this time on its Pacific side. So this time it's Colombia. Now, this put me through a ringer because, many of us believe that they're just, doing a Maduro, leader swap over there, that, regime change. But at the same time, now they're going after Colombia, which is actually quite aligned with the U.S. So is this the distraction? Like, no, we're actually focused on the drugs. Because nobody really believes that we need 8 warships, over 10,000 troops, Black Hawk helicopters, all sorts of stuff to track down a speedboat here and there. It doesn't make too much sense. And then, of course, they have made this to where Congress really can't butt in. In fact, they just clamped down on Congress yesterday. We found that out. So it's going to be very much easier to get things by Congress without kind of letting them know. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. They're clamping down like they're getting ready for war. They cleaned out the Pentagon of all of the media. They told the media, hey, you sign this. You can only talk about what we tell you to talk about. You have to stay in this certain area in the Pentagon. You can't go outside of it. And you sign this or you leave. And almost everyone except for ONN left. So something is massively wrong with what's going on here. And most people are like, oh, it's all a nothing burger. Nothing's happening. It's all a distraction. But mind you, in the background, we actually have financial changes like the gold and Bitcoin and things like this that tell you that world leaders and the people that are in the know, the people that have $100 million to go spend on stuff, they are buying like there's no tomorrow. Do you think that these people just buy because they go on whims? Most of them get an email or a memo or a call from somebody in the know and they say, hey, giving you a heads up, this is about to happen. You need to bet on this horse and this horse and this horse. And you need to take this horse out to the pasture. Okay, so most of this is obvious signage that something massive is about to go down. We're having, just a couple days ago, we had AWS, the backbone of the internet. Half of the internet went down. That might have been a test. We might be seeing something very much sooner than you think. So make sure to have your preps planned. Again, a lot of people don't even have a basic plan of where they would meet family. Most people don't have more than 3 days of food and water in their fridge. So again, try to think about that. And then the man plows into the security gate outside of the White House, causing a lockdown. There's been several of these weird stories that are happening, all kind of in this same sphere, as far as you had the president twice having either an emergency landing or almost an emergency landing. Then you had our vice president have the same issue, and Marco Rubio having an issue. Then you had a hunting blind set up right outside his plane. Now you have a man plowing into security gates outside of the White House. Nothing too crazy about this because we've had this happen before. In fact, it happened during the last president. I'm pretty sure it happened during the one before that. But this is a sign that, obviously there's a lot of messaging out there against this current administration. We're going to talk about all of the rest, including warheads. Again, they're stockpiling warheads. We'll talk about the separate piece that is also today that they're talking about. It's warheads, kind of like Marsha. We'll talk about that on our next show. Make sure to join us over on Marfoogle TV in just a moment. Again, you can get there by the description down below, or you can just stay and chat. You'll be ported over. We'll see you in just a minute over on Marfoogle TV. Thank you guys for joining us, and share this out if you care about people. Definitely let them know about this information. All right. Full bibliography available over at marfooglenews.com.